In Palestine, the Indonesian hospital, the largest health facility in Northern Gaza, is out of service. Therefore, this northern territory lacks adequate access to health services. A commercial airliner carrying more than 60 passengers crashed in Kazakhstan, leaving at least 35 people dead. And the government of Haiti reported at least 13 dead and about 15 injured as heavy rains ravaged the island. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Palestine, the Indonesian hospital, the largest health facility in Northern Gaza, is out of service. Therefore, this northern territory lacks adequate access to health services. The Indonesian hospital is now only a shelter with a minimum level of healthcare provided to people, given the deliberate, constant attacks on its essential facilities, as well as the arrest of a large number of medical staff. The other health facility, known as Al-Auda Hospital, is operated by a charitable organization. The upper floor of this hospital has been destroyed, and the surrounding areas have become dangerous because of the constant attacks. The Israeli news outlet Haaretz said Wednesday that the Zionist army could stay in southern Lebanon beyond the 60-day period agreed upon in the ceasefire pact signed between Tel Aviv and Hezbollah. According to the news agency's report, the Israeli forces would stay in the area if the Lebanese army didn't fulfill its side of the agreement and achieve full control of the country's southern region. On Thursday, it will be 30 days since the ceasefire between both parties was announced, a period during which Israel and Hezbollah have traded blame for several ceasefire violations. In Syria, the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham (HTS) terrorist group fired on peaceful demonstrations, leaving several dead and wounded in many areas of the country. HTS terrorist forces opened fire on protesters in Homs, Hable, Tartus and Latakia, who were demonstrating against extremist attacks targeting symbols and holy sites of the Alawite community. In this regard, the demonstrators staged the protest following the burning of the Alawite shrine located in Aleppo and the subsequent execution of 5 civilians. For its part, the HTS armed terrorist group indicated that the video is not new and was recorded during the first day of the attacks in the city of Aleppo. It should be noted that the Alawites are a branch of Islam to which the ousted President Bashar al-Assad belongs. In Syria, at least 7 civilians were wounded during a clash with the Israeli occupation forces that raided several localities in southwestern part of the country. The Syrian Medical Emergency Department received 7 wounded by the Zionist military forces, who opened fire on the inhabitants of several localities. After the overthrow of the government of Bashar al-Assad by terrorist groups, the Tel Aviv regime intensified its operations and invaded the Syrian territory. In this sense, the Tel Aviv government announced the collapse of the 1974 Separation of Forces Agreement with Syria and occupied the demilitarized buffer zone of the Golan Heights. The United Nations Refugee Agency warned that more than 80,000 Sudanese civilians have been displaced to South Sudan by armed violence. In a statement, the United Nations body warned that thousands of people have been forced to abandon their homes due to clashes between the army and the Rapid Support Forces, which began in 2023. The report highlights that among the displaced are women and children who are facing shortages of drinking water, medicine and food. In this context, the United Nations warned that some 680,000 people are in a situation of food catastrophe, while another 25.6 million are suffering from acute food insecurity. Russia launched Wednesday its fifth Earth observation satellite into orbit. According to the Russian State Space Corporation, a Soyuz 2.1B rocket took off this Wednesday from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan, carrying into space the Resource P, a satellite designed for remote sensing tasks on the Earth's surface in the visible and infrared light ranges in real time. The agency reported that the satellite separated from the Soyuz 2.1 on the latter's third stage approximately 9 minutes after the rocket's launch. 5 Resource P satellites have been launched into space since 2013, the last being on March 31st. The Russian armed forces reported Wednesday the interception of 59 Ukrainian drones in several border regions during the 24th and 25th of December. The military entity said that drones were coming from Ukraine and were aimed at border regions. Also denounced the constant drone incursions as well as rocket attacks against the area from Ukraine territory. Russia's government reiterated that the special military operation in Ukraine has the objective of denazifying the people of Kyiv and stopping the advance of NATO forces into Russian border regions. In Serbia, university students mobilized to demand action against the country's Attorney General, Zagorka Dolovac, for the collapse of a roof at the Novi Sad train station, which left at least 15 people dead. The students marched on to the country's prosecutor's office to demand Dolovac to fulfill her obligations in relation to the incident. Likewise, they sent the official 1,000 letters in which they request her to fight for the law and the truth. The protesters also reiterated their demands, urging the population of the documents related to the remodeling work of the Novi Sad train station. Moreover, they are also calling for the dropping of charges against demonstrators arrested in the massive anti-government protests that have been going on since the incident of last November 5th. And now we have a short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates and more. We'll be right back, stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. A passenger airplane from Azerbaijan Airlines carrying more than 60 passengers crashed in Kazakhstan on Wednesday while covering the route Baku-Grozny. The Embraer 190 aircraft crashed on the runway of the Aktau airport after circling the area looking to make an emergency landing. According to the Azerbaijani airline, the plane was flying over the Caspian Sea when it sent a distress signal after a collision with a flock of birds. The Kazakh Health Minister Agmaral Al-Nasarova confirmed that 62 passengers and 5 crew members were on board at the time of the incident. So far, at least 35 people have been reported dead as a result of the accident, while rescue efforts continue searching for the area for survivors. In this regard, Kazakhstan Ministry of Emergency Situations mobilized more than 430 rescuers and 80 teams units to the site of the accident to extinguish the fire and search for survivors. At present, the Kazakh government reports 29 people, among them 3 minors, have been rescued and taken to hospital for medical and psychological assistance after sustaining injuries of varying severity. Russian President Vladimir Putin expressed his condolences for the victims of the plane crash in Aktau during the opening of a CIS summit in St. Petersburg.
Before we begin our work, unfortunately, I must say a few words about the tragedy that occurred today in Aktau. The plane crashed. There are casualties. There are many injured, and as we just spoke with you, on your behalf I would like to express condolences to the families of the deceased and all the injured. Let us hope for their recovery. In agreement with the President of Kazakhstan, a Russian Ministry of Emergency Situations plane with medical personnel and the necessary additional equipment on board is en route to Aktau.
The Venezuelan Foreign Ministry expressed its sorrow for the plane crash in the city of Akto in Kazakhstan. Through a post on his Telegram channel, Venezuelan Foreign Minister Ivan Hill stated, "We join in the mourning of the people of Azerbaijan for the unfortunate plane crash in Akto from Venezuela. We extend our sincere words of condolences to the families and friends of the victims of the accident, and we pray for the prompt recovery of the injured." Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel conveyed Wednesday his condolences to the people of Kazakhstan for the victims of the plane crash in the city of Akto. In a message posted on Telegram, the Cuban president wrote, "We accompany the governments and peoples of Azerbaijan, Russia, Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan at this moment after the tragic plane crash in Akto. Our condolences especially to the families of the deceased. We wish a speedy recovery to all the injured." Also in this context, the president of Iran, Masoud Pezeshkian, joined the condolence messages to Kazakhstan with the following message: "I offer my deepest condolences especially to the families and relatives of the victims." We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcasting and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. Volunteers continue to clean up beaches in Russia after an oil slick from two damaged oil tankers off the southern coast of the country has polluted much of the soil in the area. In this regard, the volunteers stated that on Tuesday morning, almost everything had been cleaned up, but during the night, the waves deposited fuel oil on the sand again. In this sense, local authorities released images of oil-splattered birds being treated by the volunteers. On December 15th, two Russian tankers were hit by a storm in the Kerch Strait, one sinking and the other running aground. The ships were carrying 9,200 tons of oil, of which about 40% could have spilled into the sea, reaching the local beaches as well. The work of volunteers has been crucial in reducing the damage of the disaster and protecting the species living in the area.
The fuel oil still remains in the sea and in quite large quantities, obviously. It will continue to be discharged onto the clean shore, and it will have to be cleaned for the second, third, who knows what other time. And we have to be prepared for that. What you see now is volunteers trying to collect fuel oil from the sand with shovels. What you see is how they try to wash the birds, the unfortunate ones, covered with this fuel oil, and if they are not treated, they are doomed to die within a few days. It's all a nightmare.
In Hawaii, one of the world's most active volcanoes sprang into life again, spewing columns of lava 80 meters above the island. Images show enormous fissures in the caldera of Kilauea on Hawaii's Big Island, spraying jets of molten rocks into the air. The Hawaiian Volcano Observatory, HVO, said the eruption began just after 2 a.m. local time in the southwestern section of the caldera. In this sense, the eruption is occurring within a closed area of Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, and lava flows are currently confined to the Halema Umai'i and the eastern part of Kilauea Earth's caldera. On the other hand, the HVO warned that sulfur dioxide emanating from the fissure would react with other gases in the atmosphere, which can affect people, animals, and crops in the surrounding areas. The government of Haiti reported at least 13 dead and about 15 injured as heavy rains ravaged the island. Haiti's National Risk and Disaster Management System asserted that the death toll could rise as the rainfall intensifies and also reported that one person is missing. In addition, the agency pointed out that at least 16,000 houses were flooded by the rise of nearby rivers and more than 500 houses were totally destroyed. On the other hand, the agency warned that in several areas there have been cases of diseases related to polluted water and that the health sector could be facing a new epidemic of these illnesses soon. The Bolivian government committed to boost industrialization in 2025, foreshadowing historic months of progress in the work in pursuit of this goal. Precisely, the President Luis Arce assured that the coming year, which will mark the nation's bicentennial, will be a time of renovations and opportunities to advance towards an industrialized Bolivia. Furthermore, the leader described 2025 as the right time to value peace, the triumph of their unity, and the commitment of a people that did not allow turmoil to win, making reference to the blockades and strikes that at different times damaged the economy.
El 2025 será un año
2025 will be a historical year, as it is our bicentennial, a time of renovations and opportunities to advance towards the industrialized, free and independent Bolivia, a fair Bolivia full of opportunities for
una
all.
Bolivia digna, justa y llena de oportunidades para todas y todos.
In Mexico, a family craft workshop dedicated to the handmade manufacture of wooden toys has endured industrialization and has become an option to give not only a gift but a legacy of the traditional toy in these Christmas holidays. Our colleague Daniel Rosas visited them and brings us their story.
With these handmade designs carved in wood, the toys of this workshop begin to come to life. In addition to their colorfulness, they have a lot of Mexican culture in them.
The wrestler character is iconic of Mexico City to the whole world. To all the foreigners who come, there are even tours in Mexico City to go and see the wrestling matches, so it is one of the most important sports for us, or part of our identity as Mexicans.
With this idea in mind, more designs have been created and more family members have joined the team. Each one has put a little bit of himself into the toys.
Well, I started to put little flowers and little leaves on all of them. Everything that is painted now are things that I have been taking out of my imagination and my hands.
This way, the options for the small workshop have increased, with more and more innovations, colors, and contributions.
I feel that this does unite us as a family. It strengthens our craftsmanship and gives us a lot, so that people from other countries can get to know our work, our culture, our craftsmanship.
And new technologies have contributed significantly in this task.
I have spread their art all over the world, because social networks are all over the world. And most of all of their pieces are created with love, heart, and time.
This has earned them several handicraft awards and the recognition of being part of the collective heritage.
Besides the fact that we have won the award, the Museum of the Mexican Popular Toy acquires our handicrafts for its collection.
The members of the family that makes up the Manos de Madera workshop are confident that their work will reach many homes this Christmas and New Year's Eve season.
Daniel Rosas, teleSUR, Estado de México.
And we have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok as well. For TeleSUR English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.